Lydia Winters, Minecraft's chief storyteller and brand director, has officially left Mojang. They also recently made some other leadership changes, including a new studio head and, of course, a new head of Minecraft, which have led to dramatic changes in their plan as a studio, as evidenced by the future of Minecraft. Look at who decided that. It's the new guy from the top of the credits. A very interesting decision to make, and indeed, why are Mojang making such gigantic moves, and what does this mean for the future of the studio, and indeed, what does this mean for Minecraft right now? Those are the questions I want to answer today, because hello, I'm Cat, by the way, and today I want to discuss the huge indecisiveness of Mojang's leadership and how it's really impacted huge parts of the game for most Minecraft players. And this is a funny thing because of just how opaque the Mojang leadership is to end users like us. I mean, despite having a parent company with a real CEO, Mojang then has its own CEO while also answering to the Xbox Games division, while also having a studio head who is separate to their games head, who are both separate to Jeb, who is of course still the CCO of the game and who basically leads the game and studio as we know it. All of this has come in the decade or so since Minecraft's explosion, as before that, Lydia put it like this.
It was just like I would come in, but there was never an end. There was never an end leaving time. You just stayed.
This is something Jeb backed up by saying,
I would frequently be there on weekends as well.
Exactly. Well, yeah, I was gonna say.
Always someone else.
Obviously, this is no way to run a company, and it's a good thing if that is being fixed. However, there are other consumer-facing issues on which the new leadership seem to be flip-flopping on and indeed doing a poor job with, and that's why I want to talk about 5 major issues that the Minecraft management have been having a hard time with, and at the end we can analyze how good Mojang's new leadership are actually doing. So the first of those 5 issues is the longevity of the game. Minecraft is a 100-year game, I mean a 50-year game, I mean a 20 to 30-year game. Minecraft is going to run on every platform, except actually Minecraft Bedrock is going to run on every platform, except not Linux and Macs because they already have the Java edition, and also we're not going to update that Bedrock platform for the newer generation consoles until they've been out for 5 years. These are all decisions about the longevity of the Minecraft franchise, and they all seem to be going constantly back and forth. I think one of the very few things that you need to be consistent with is your plan for the game. If not the length of support for a console, then at least a roadmap forwards about what platforms will be supported and when. And if not, then at least a plan for the franchise more broadly. It is often incorrectly stated that Minecraft is the biggest video game franchise of all time, when in reality it's just the biggest video game by sales because none of its universe extension games besides Dungeons have come close to the same success as Minecraft. As a business, they should probably have an answer about whether Minecraft is meant to be the game that will last for a century, and if so, how they intend to do that, or whether they should actually be moving towards spin-off games, one of which might overtake Minecraft itself one day. I think that this would then dictate how much resources they put into things, whereas as a fan base, it's hard to know, is Minecraft Legends or Earth or Story Mode or Dungeons meant to be something you play for a couple of months and then go back to Minecraft, or are they meant to be full games in their own right? Legends, of course, being the biggest failure of this. I think the longevity of Minecraft is something that is not clearly addressed and doesn't even seem to be clearly known. Speaking of not clearly known, let's talk about the audience for the game, because who are they really making the game for? Every piece of work needs to answer this one question, because if the game is mainly for children, does it really need to have a genocide required to complete it? If, on the other hand, the game is really for adults, Mojang often says the average player is over 26 years old, then why do Minecraft think that new animals have to be friendly and lovable and there can't be any reward for killing them? This question is one that makes sense on a gameplay level, but also on a marketing one. I mean, in the early days, the average player was probably nerdier and in their 20s or 30s, and then there was a shift where an influx of new users and iPad children may have jumped in, but since then, many of these users have grown up, and the geographies the game is popular in have expanded worldwide, giving Minecraft a huge issue of how do they market the game and new features, and obviously this results in a hard balance when it comes to working out a direction, with the panda being phenomenally popular with one group, the dog armor being popular with another, and the addition of cherrywood being popular with a third. The greater the size of your audience, the harder it is to make killer features for each of them. This demographic problem is one that seems to be solved in different ways depending on what year of Minecraft you're talking about, because the earliest update announcements were always just raw talk from the developers.
And then we have some like secrets, or no, not really secret, but some other stuff we want to talk about. So, but let's start with the changes since last Minecon.
Later, they seem to switch to increasingly aim at younger players though.
Last year, before the show started, I was sure I knew which biome would win, but I was wrong. This year, I have no idea. They're all just so great.
And now they've come back again in the other direction.
It's been a long time since I first announced our Minecraft movie.
we've taken our time to assemble an incredible team and to create an original, fun-filled take on the Minecraft universe.
On the surface, as a company, you might think it's your job to listen to consumers and do exactly what they want, but really, people sort of expect you to lead the way and have a vision as a company. And so when you say to the audience, yeah, we'll do whatever you look like you want this year, it leads to all sorts of disappointments, which I think Mojang is on the wrong end of right now, and that is one of the big problems with how they are catering to that audience. They're not appreciating that it is a hugely diverse bunch, and that ultimately, the best way to unite them is have something to unite under, rather than say, yeah, we'll do whatever you want, except now these are a bigger group, we'll do what they want. And that is something that I think is true with the audience, but it's also true with the number of platforms the game is made for. In the beginning, there was a Minecraft Java edition, and then later they added a mobile version with significantly fewer features. Seriously, Minecraft Pocket Edition Lite, what a wild time, if you remember, you remember. But in either case, the success of this second edition led to Microsoft offering very good money for them to develop an Xbox port, which they did by contracting out to a third-party studio who managed to follow along with the Java Edition development map better than Mojang themselves were able to do with the Pocket Edition. This was a very sustainable space for the game until they decided it wasn't. You see, in 2015, Microsoft, having bought Mojang recently, said they wanted cross-platform play across all Minecraft versions and hinted they'd bring them all together. The huge damage that Microsoft did to their own game by bringing out the Better Together update early is something we could talk about for an entire video on this channel, and I'm sure we already have done, but to keep this simple, it's worth bearing in mind that all of this damage the Better Together update did was solely so they could have two versions of the game rather than three. But in 2018, they decided against this previous strategy by opening another branch of the game specifically for Nintendo 3DS. This was to be made by another third-party studio, this time Other Ocean in Canada, but it basically meant that Microsoft decided they should have three versions of Minecraft, and then came back down to two, and then went back up to three. So they reversed their reversal, and then, if you'll believe it, after just a couple of updates, they decided to cancel this version of the game too, so they reversed the reversal of the reversal, which just doesn't seem like it makes any sense, especially given in how few years they did it in. This isn't actually that big of a deal unless you happen to be one of the 80 million or so players who happen to be on one of those editions, and sure, that is only about 25% of Minecraft players, but the bigger problem is that it leads to a lack of faith about Microsoft actually continuing versions that they've started. When you hear that Microsoft is saying, yeah, we'll continue this for as long as we can, we know that means until they change their mind, perhaps in a year or two's time. The biggest problem that this causes is how many platforms is the game available for right now? 2, but how many will it be in the future? There is all sorts of paranoia from the Java Edition crowd about Microsoft eventually discontinuing that version of the game, and I think there are all sorts of executives, probably very high up in Mojang, who think that that is a good idea, and this is why management needs to be very clear about exactly what the time span on keeping Java is. Do they want to get rid of it at the first opportunity they think they can? Do they want to have the Bedrock Edition eventually surpass it? Do they want to do anything involving this, or is the game always going to have two versions? Being at least some amount clear, and again presenting us with a roadmap or a vague guide of what they want to do, is something that will be much more valuable than having an entire paranoid wing of the community that says, yeah, they're going to do it any day now. And indeed, I think I can't blame them for thinking that when we have no real idea, and that is something that also covers our opinion on collaborations, because it's been a joke for a while now that Minecraft is willing to collaborate with anyone. Do you have a brand and could it vaguely fit inside of a Minecraft map? Well, good news, Minecraft is willing to work with you, and Super Mario X Minecraft is the best example of this, perhaps the most impressive. It updates every year, and I can't wait to see what they do with the creaking. It is a great example of a long-term partnership that really brings Minecraft closer to Nintendo and indeed all of its fans. However, what is the long-term benefit of each of these collaborations? From SpongeBob to Transformers, there are so many of these, and unlike the console edition days where each of these was prominently featured and regularly updated, these collabs become one of just the many hundreds of things that release each week on the marketplace. And so instead of having a world where each of these is fondly looked back upon and maybe even revisited on the regular, instead we have a world where you're more likely to see the 7th security add-on than one of the all-time great maps by Game Mode 1, Jigabob, or Sparks Universe. This is perhaps a marketplace problem more broadly, and I have to say that I don't know what the easy solution is if you have so many marketplace teams who rely on having to pump pump out 7 maps a week to actually run their team, I don't know how you can keep that wing of the business, and indeed the controversial microtransactions that come with it, I don't know how you can keep that business happy while also saying, yeah, we want to actually have collaborations that mean something, and indeed, right now it seems as though it's working, because what brand in their right mind wouldn't want to work with Minecraft, but eventually it might not work so well. Will they need a more structured plan? If they are intending to make one, it's yet to be seen by us, the community, because for now, there is only one thing that we explicitly know Minecraft's plan for, and it was laid out to us in the future of Minecraft, so let's talk about the new plan. I'll be honest with you, my heart sank when I first read this, because on the surface, it sounds bad. Removing the mob vote, making Minecraft Live shorter, and renaming updates to drops sounded like it was going to be Minecraft basically throwing in the towel for updates. And it makes sense because updates are free, while basically everything else they do is something they can charge for. But I think, given that this came from the head of Minecraft and not from some business studio, I actually do think that this is about getting the most from Minecraft developers and hopefully making a better plan for them and us, the community, because take each of those 3 points I just mentioned, removing the mob vote does sound bad, but it does seem like they're looking for more direct community involvement. Indeed, one of the only 2 drops they'd done before this point was basically adding the most popular feature from the community ever, dyed dog armor, and so this is much better than the idea of a mob vote because they can listen to the community without having to deal with the polarization from it. Also, Minecraft Live can now be aimed at its actual audience. As I've referenced before, it seems like they were trying to go very mass market, especially when they had celebrities involved, but now it seems like they're aiming it at Minecraft fans, and also, if you are someone who does enjoy Minecraft and the vanilla game and its various updates, they are basically 3 to 4 timesing the number of content updates we get per year. Sure, you might be able to argue how much content is in there is going to change, and it might be the same total amount, but getting it 3 or 4 times as often is going to be much better, and I think therefore these are all actually pretty damn good. This is an example of what to do right with an announcement at the very least, but I think that is where the problem is there is lots of open-endedness which can lead to us, the community, seeing what we want to see, while maybe developers and business people can see what they want to. Sure, Minecraft is going to have 4 times as many updates, but will some of those updates just contain retextured trees? Well, maybe. Also, the mob vote was toxic, and removing it is apparently popular, and this is a thing that is crazy because people have voted themselves out of voting, but if we look at Western liberal democracy, well, actually, that does seem like exactly like what we want to do right now, but the best system of government really is a benevolent dictator willing to make tricky decisions for both short and long-term benefit, and is Mojang trying that right now, taking the popular suggestions and adding the ones that make sense, or are they going to be the less benevolent dictator? Well, that ultimately is something that we can only work out if we can conclude what Mojang's management really intend to do. If there's one thing we should be clear about when talking about Mojang's management, especially the new ones, it's that Mojang is actually one of the best employers in the world. Take a glance at the beginning pay for a senior software engineer, and you'll realize that it's in the top 5th percentile of US salaries, and therefore in the top 0.1% of the world. This is something which is extra impressive given that they avoid crunch, the biggest downside to working in software engineering, and so clearly Minecraft is one of the best workplaces. This is something I think they should genuinely be proud of in an industry that's known for churning and spitting out employees. However, despite being an incredible employer on the surface, Mojang doesn't manage employee retention anywhere near as well as you'd expect. I discussed this in a video more if you want to learn about all the features announced by these former developers, but it goes without saying lots of the original Mojang OGs and even many new hires have left the company, and so I would say that being the best employer and avoiding crunch is really impressive, but only if you then hit your targets. I mean, take the Caves and Cliffs update where developers internally were calling for a delay or splitting of the Caves and Cliffs as early as the pandemic, and basically it was only a month before delivery that it was confirmed and announced to all of us. If an update is too ambitious for the circumstances, then this is something that shouldn't fall on developers to answer, but rather is for those who are managing the project and are responsible for allocating resources. I think the best example of this would be every update since Caves and Cliffs, where they solved their problem by simply scaling down the project size for each of the updates. Each update since then was delivered on time, but they did this by delivering fewer features. If managers realize they cannot deliver a project of the size they hope for, it is reasonable to lower the scope one time. That is clever, sure, but if they do it consistently, then they're actually just lowering expectations, which is not promotion-worthy behavior in my opinion. This is what makes the outsized success of various Mojang management a little bit puzzling to me, because as we see in chief executive positions all around the world, many corporations have gotten to the point now where they're not just rewarding their management teams for doing very very, very well when times are good, but they're also rewarding them when times are bad. And ultimately, I think that the brunt is meant to be on you as the people who are leading a company, that yeah, when times are great, sure, you can take your share, only if you're willing to say, yeah, when things are bad, that's actually on us too. Just like Nintendo did when they launched the Wii U, it was an unsuccessful console, and so the president of Nintendo cut his salary in half to avoid layoffs. This is what leadership is meant to be, in my opinion, and I hope that this is where Mojang is willing to kind of concede that, yeah, having a bunch of years in a row where their developers are called lazy is something they need to be getting out in front of, and indeed, when you've got a dream team of passionate developers, it's up to you to hopefully create that new golden era of Minecraft, which we've been promised, and indeed, which I believe we're going to get, but only time will tell if fans, developers, and indeed the shareholders, the management, the people responsible for the business end of things can all agree on what that should be. Anyway, with that said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and only time will tell if their bold plans are successful, but also only time will tell if you consider subscribing to the channel to learn more about the latest in Minecraft news. This one was a little bit more behind the scenes, like we've done for a couple of weeks in a row here, but if you want to learn about the game and all of the fun features inside of it, make sure to check out the rest of this channel, because that's what we cover here. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye.